Hello, I'm Jared Garrett with QComm. Today's Q-tip is going to be making a piece of transmission line. This piece of line has to be made to 56 inches. It has a flange already on one end that's soldered. And once we cut it to size, we're going to install this clamp flange. My pipe is 56.5 inches, so we will have to deduct this piece right here from this lip to there. So what happens is the piece of copper pipe slides in there, it hits there. So you have to subtract that dimension from your 56.5, and that is a 1/4 inch. I'll show you. If you look, that measures about a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark out the pipe 56.5 inches and then take a 1/4 inch off for the flange. Now we have a rigid copper tube cutter. Put this on there. Right on my mark. Screw down until you got a little bit of tension and hold it there. The way you want to use this tube cutter is you always want your rollers to follow your cutter. So the cutter's cutting and the rollers are following. And you go around. Once you make it about one time around, you want to make sure that you're not cutting threads, that you're actually on the same track. So right now we look pretty good. So just keep going around. You'll feel the resistance as you're cutting. And every so often, when you feel the resistance lighten up, add a little bit to the knob here. You'll turn the knob and then I'll tighten it and push the blade down in it. So then you just keep on going around. I'll feel a little less resistance. I'll put a little half turn in the knob. Half turn in the knob. Should be getting close. Real close. You see it start to cut through right now. Okay. Now once you have that cut, if you can see in here, there's a little lip from where the blade pressed down. We're going to take a deburring tool and we're going to deburr that edge. And you want to be able to, you don't want to be able to feel that lip. You see, I just got to keep on working at it. Basically, you're just kind of like carving it away. The deburr is it's at about a 22-degree angle. Looks like I'm about getting there. Feels like this deburr could use a new blade. Okay, it feels pretty good. And then we're going to take steel wool or SOS and we're going to smooth that out, clean that up, get nice and smooth. And then the outside where the clamp flange goes, we want to take that varnish off there and get that polished right. So I'm going to use a little bit thicker stuff, a little bit coarser stuff to get that all nice and shiny copper so we get a good connection. Go back over it with the smoother stuff. Nice and smooth, no lip. Okay. So now we'll put this clamp flange on. It's 5/16. You just want to check that, make sure that's seated all the way. It looks good, and it is. And then we'll tighten up this clamp. These will get torqued. I think it's 50 inch-pounds, 35 inch-pounds. So that clamp flange is on there now. Now inside this pipe is the inner conductor. And the way I measure it is, I put my tape measure through this pipe. And I'll set it on that lip. Then I'll pull my tape measure through and I'll measure that to this lip right here. And it's like 56 3/16. So that's 56 3/16. I'll write down so I don't forget it. Set this piece of wire to the side here. Okay, so now we're going to cut this insulator that goes inside here, and I'll show you how we do that. On each side of this will be these bullet adapters. So you can see how this adapter goes in here and seats up against that edge. You're allowed, the tolerance for that is overall in this piece of copper inner can be a 1/16 on each side. So that's something to remember. We measured the outside from that lip to that lip and it was 56 3/16. So we're going to have to take this piece off. Let me show you again. We're going to take this dimension off from this Teflon to this copper ×2 because there's one on each end, and an extra 1/8 inch for shrinkage and expansion. So right now I got 56 3/16. And the way I'll do it is I'll measure it like this. I'll put my tape measure, I'll measure that. It's inch, that's gonna be easy math. So an inch and an inch, I'm gonna take off 2 1/8. So 1 there, an inch there, and an 1/8 inch for expansion. So the way I'll usually do this is I'll go over here and I'll put my 56 3/16. And what I'll do so I don't have to get a calculator out and do math, because math is where mistakes happen, I'll stick this on here and I'll go back 1 inch, 2 inch, and an 1/8 inch. That's my cut. Didn't have to do any math. It was good, so we'll cut it now. Back to the tube cutter. I have another tube cutter, it's just smaller in size. Put this on here. Wheels chase the cutter. You can see my line I'm scoring. I'm not cutting threads. If this is off, it'll cut threads just like a bolt or something, you know. This pipe isn't as thick, so it should cut through a lot easier and sooner. You'll feel the resistance, you'll feel it get easy, and you just add a half twist. I'm probably doing it and you don't even notice I'm doing it, but like half twist. There we go. Now we gotta deburr it. Smooth it out. Now I already checked the other side. It was factory edge and it was already cut and smooth, so Let's clean it up a little bit. It didn't have any burrs in it. On it, I mean. And you always look down in there and make sure there's no copper shavings. A good tip is when you look at line, like you'll inspect it for dents. And a lot of times you can't see or feel them, but if you look inside the pipe and it has a reflection, and I don't know if the camera can show that or not, you would be able to see a dent real easy. You would be able to see it a lot easier looking in there from the inside than if it was on the outside. I put my bullet on. I always like to put the bullet, the ones that I visually can see how one side has a ring and one don't. I like to put this one on there because when I plug a 90 in or another piece of line, I got this to keep me from splitting a bullet. And a split bullet is basically when somebody tries to put this piece of line in there and it gets there and this piece goes outside there. That's where a lot of your burnouts and that happen. People don't even realize it happens. So always, while I got this piece in my hand, it's easy for me to see that it went in there perfectly. So then I'll slide this piece of line in here. See, I'm just trying to get that. Sometimes you got to pinch these things to get them. See there. So that's seated in there. And then I'll put this other bullet in. So you can see ring out. I'm gonna slide it in there. These bullets shouldn't be real hard or real tight, and they shouldn't be falling loose. If so, stop. It has to be just a perfect snug, perfect fit, just a little bit of resistance. Okay, that's seated in there. Now, one thing I'll do a visual check. I'll look in this little hole here, and I want to see, I can see the gap, and I see an 1/8 inch. You want to make sure that you look in there and visually check that, because if you did bad math, your tape measure slipped, or whatever, if that's a 1/2 inch or 5/8 or something, hopefully you would catch it right here, so you wouldn't have a burnout down the road of your ender being too short. So it's always a good idea to peek in there, and you should be able to see it. I can see an 1/8 inch, so we're good. It'll let it heat up, expand, and contract. That's basically it for making a piece of line. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye on our website for more Q-tips. Thank you.